完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全だから美しい。
もうバカバカバカ。
何？
俺は海賊王になる。待って、なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態。遅い。
Hello and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show you that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's also countless stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brendan White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, am here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is proudly powered by 8-Bit and our sexy audio-based legends over at Audio Technica. Go and upgrade your audio game today over at audiotechnica.com. And joining me on this episode is a man who loves to share his love for video games, the Baltimore Ravens, printmaking and miniature painting with his fantastic community over at twitch.tv/TheWraithWA, which is the exact same place you can check out his podcast, The Morning Show, which he co-hosts with his friend Steele. You can find him on all of the socials at TheWraithWA. Tom, welcome to the Riverside Studio, my friend. How might you be doing?
Oh, I'm doing so well today, and that was a banging introduction, and I thank you. And Baltimore Ravens, it's because I've been repping the hoodie on my streams lately.
I like to keep my finger on the pulse, and
That's it.
you know, it's funny because I'm a American football or NFL fan myself. My team also has purple as one of its primary colors, but I'm a Vikings boy, not a Ravens boy. So yeah, we've got the NFC and AFC rivalries going on.
Oh,
here,
excellent!
But you know what? It's a time. It's a time. Does Lamar stay or does Lamar go? I know there's some off-season drama with Lamar Jackson, the potential quarterback of the future.
Look, I'm happy. I'll be happy if he stays, but you know, if he gets, you got to follow the money. I totally understand that. But as long as we don't lose our goal kicker, I think it's Justin Tucker. Oof,
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
So many.
The greatest of all time, just about. I
I know.
He's in some very rare air, Justin Tucker. But yeah, be very curious to see what happens with Lamar Jackson as we move our way closer to the 2023/2024 season. But yeah, we are not here for an NFL-based podcast.
No.
That's probably something you can find elsewhere. But we're here talking anime, we're talking life and everything else in between. And I guess we could start off things, Tom, with getting your origin story from maybe a broader lens. We can then scale it and focus it to an anime focus. But, you know, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you're doing over there on your Twitch channel, whether it be, you know, the many forms of podcasting and content creation you're doing. And yeah, give us the elevator pitch. Tell us the Tom story.
Oh, the Tom story. Well, we'll start with the streaming stuff because that's, you know, current. So yeah, basically I stream Monday nights and Wednesday nights, and on the weekends I do the morning show, which is a podcast talk show that I do with my friend Steel 305, another former professional wrestler. We're both actually former professional wrestlers. That's where the name The Wraith comes from. Yeah, so anyway, we just talk about all the latest pop culture news. It's a bit of a dumpster fire. We just kind of play on that. We just, you know, all the nerdy news you need to know. It's just a week late, right? I mean,
That's
it's all
fine.
our lol and our hot takes, and it's good times. And really, me and Steve, we just bounce off each other's personalities and stuff. It's a good time. Otherwise, I'm painting models on Wednesday nights. That's called Mini Madness. Yeah, I paint Warhammer models, so I'm well into the Warhammers. I don't play, I just paint. And what else I do is I build mobile suits, like Gundam. So that's anime related. So Mobile Suit Mondays. Right now I'm building a master grade version car, Suzabi, from Char's Counterattack. It's huge. It's the biggest Gundam I've ever built. But yeah, so I love me some Gundam. But that's a story for another time.
I love me some Gundam too. Yeah, so the origin story, and then I want to then drill a little bit deeper on this wrestling thing. You just sort of casually just snuck in there.
Just slide it in there.
Just snuck it in there. I love it. But yeah, let's go the origin story. Let's talk. Now we'll talk about the origin story from an anime perspective shortly. I think let's talk wrestling. Let's go the wrestling because it's all I can think about right now.
All right, okay. So I started professional wrestling with Southern Hemisphere Wrestling Alliance. Oh God, I don't know, maybe 2008. When the company started. It was 2008. So anyway, I had an illustrious wrestling career for like 8 years, all in Western Australia. I wrestled a few people. I wrestled Sanjay Dutt. I was a tag team match with B-Boy. I was in an intergender match with Mercedes Martinez. What else? Otherwise, I wrestled some superstars from Australia: Mikey Nicol, Shane Hayes, Jared Slate. So I was just wrestling with all those guys, doing the wrestles. The Wraith was very anime inspired as well. I used to actually paint a white cross on my face and run a mark. We flipped and flopped with heels. I did it for just under shy of 10 years. And long story short, I don't wrestle any longer because I fell off a push scooter and it just shattered my ankle. Go figure. And I'm old now, so I got over all my injuries, and I was like, I'm pretty old. So I think it's just to put up the boots. I did refereeing for a little while, but now I'm just focusing on my on streaming and carrying on there.
I love that. So in your wrestling heyday, what was your finisher? Or I guess did you have like a bit of a signature moveset as well?
Yeah, I had a heaps of signature
break
moves
it down for me.
All right, so I some of the things. I did the Shadows Over Hell, which is essentially a top rope back splash. So you set the guy up so they're sort of like bending over, and then you like jump off the top rope and give them a splash, and they sort of like pancake. My finisher was called the Heaven's Door, and it was just a standing jumping DDT. It was pretty simple because I'm only a little dude, and I've wrestled a lot of big guys. Actually, one guy actually picked me up like a fish once. That's pretty funny. So like I just gave it a little bit of behind of the magic. So I was on my front, and he's grabbed me by the foot, and kind of as he's hoited me up, I just gave a little bit of stank, and next minute, he's like literally holding me up like a fish. I've done this flip. It was insane. So anyway, I'm a little dude, so I've always decided that, I got to do a move that I could do on everyone, because there's no point like, I'm going to do an overhead press like some guys.
Yeah,
I wrestled
just not practical, right?
Yeah, exactly. I actually wrestled a guy who was 7 foot tall, the Giant Coyote. He's also a streamer. Go check him out. Yeah. So I did a DDT, which is just a standing side headlock, and you fall on your back, and then you drive their head into the canvas. All right? So that was my finisher.
I do love the many variations of a good DDT. I'm
so
a
many.
sucker for a tornado DDT. That's still probably my favorite to watch, especially when they can sort of snap it down and almost like exclamation point the person copying the DDT. So it's just head and body vertical.
When they just do a nice spike cell, it's gold.
Yeah,
it's golden.
A good DDT. There's not much better in professional wrestling as far as just simplicity, but also brutality, because it looks like it's not a good time. Like
no,
I never wrestled professionally, but we had a backyard wrestling league as kids.
Yes!
We got into it for a good few years. Yeah, I was a bit of a fan of Rob Van Dam, so my name was Bren Van Dam. Did the whole
Bren
thing.
Van Dam.
So I had I think mine was like a 2.5-star frog splash. It wasn't a 5-star frog splash like RVD, but the CWF, the Kuma Wrestling Federation, we had belts made, intros done, the whole kit and caboodle. Many injuries were had because we weren't professionally trained.
No.
But it was a good time.
I mean, I look, man, I started yarding as well, so that's how I started. We all start somewhere.
Exactly. But it's a hell of a time, and it's a great form of entertainment, whether you're, I guess, taking part in it or just watching live or on screen. There's just so many talented performers out there, so it's kind of cool. This is the first professional wrestler I've had here on More Than Hentai, so that's great.
There you go. See, anime touches everyone.
Exactly.
It's all walks of life. But yeah, support local wrestling. That's all I can say. Go out. There's so many
100%.
local shows going on all the time. So just go check them out.
Exactly. And it's awesome to see so many great Australian wrestlers having global success in a whole heap of promotions. So yeah, get out there and check them out, literally bleeding and sweating and
absolutely.
crying for your entertainment. So give it a peek. But yeah, let's sort of scale back to the topic at hand here, which is anime. So Tom, let's hear your anime origin story. Where did it begin for you? Let's talk about some of your favorite anime that you've watched over the years, maybe favorite tropes, least favorite things, etc., etc. So share those stories with me.
Well, the origin story, it's sort of like everyone that, like we all grew up in Australia. Cheese TV, aggro, all those sort of things. But the video store, and actually I got to shout out to my dad. He's actually probably the one that encouraged my anime watching. So, there was all the stuff on Cheese TV, the Saturday morning stuff, but he's a huge cinephile. Like, he loves his movies, thousands of DVDs, that sort of stuff. So we're at the video store, and he watched this movie, and then he's like, oh, you should check it out. I think it was like, I was about 13, 14 around the time. It was called Venus Wars. It's like these kids on mecha bikes. Like, anyway, wars in space. It was sick. And that sort of like led me on to going to the video store and then just like hiring out every single volume, the VHS that was there. So I was watching it out of order, sub, dubbed, like literally whatever you pick up, we were just devouring it all. And so, you know, the good stuff from the youth, besides the big hitters like Evangelion, like Dragon Ball, all those, but you know, we were checking out Macross Plus and other things around that time, like the Fatal Fury movies, all the video game tie-in animated movies around the early 90s and the late 90s. Yeah, there was so much good stuff, like Bubblegum Crisis, all that cyberpunk stuff, and the stuff that was brought in by manga, because that's how we used to pronounce it. Manga distribution.
As a good Aussie does, manga.
Yeah, like, oh, did you check out their mangas? Like, yeah. And that's exactly how my dad was like, oh, you should check out. You got any more of their mangas? And I'm like, yeah, Dad, you should check out this one. And, you know, Ninja Scroll and Akira, all the greats. And then obviously in the 90s, then we moved into the DVD era, and that's where, you know, and shout out. I've bless the video store, and it sucks that they're no longer around because the collapse of the video store really put a big hamper on my anime watching.
Yeah.
So the early aughts and all that, and then you got the internet days, and the early aughts, you know, I got into Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. I'm a huge Naruto fan, so I've seen it all. Even in Boruto, I'm up to date. I've seen it all. Yeah, Bleach, Naruto.
Good, bad, and otherwise, right?
That's it. You got to appreciate the bad to get to the good stuff. It just makes the good even better. Yeah, so the last few years I've just been mainly checking out Gundam. Now that thanks to streaming services, it's much easier, and the way they're distributing stuff. So I'm just catching up on everything on the last decade. I'm mainly into shonen, mecha military, that sort of stuff. I kind of keep away from, I'll say it now, I don't like isekai. Like
okay, that's fine. It's funny, like I had Liam on the most recent episode, and him and I isekai fanboys, but it is a very volatile subgenre for sure. Like you either love it or you despise it with every ounce of your being, it feels like. There's no in between.
Like I get into them. It's funny because I was watching Tokyo Revengers and that starts and I'm like, oh, it's an isekai. Oh, here we go. I didn't realize, but no, it's a bit different.
Yeah,
but,
time travel, baby.
Time travel, yeah. So I was like,
it's really good,
I'll let it go. Oh, it's Tokyo Revengers is great, but we're not here to talk about that so much. I'm just, you know, devour anything that sort of falls within my genre likes. And don't get me wrong, I like the isekai. Some of them are good. I just think, come on, can't you just have a proper fantasy setting? Does the guy? But now I guess how they're leaning into it, like that's the whole point, that the guy is coming to the world and he's bringing that stuff over.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not all good. It's not for everyone. I just kind of, I lean away from it. There's so much out there to watch, you know. It's so good. So that's my anime origin.
That's the good and the bad thing with anime or just media in general. Like the influx and the instant accessibility to all this is fantastic, but overwhelming as hell. Like it's so hard to stay on top of everything. And like you were talking about Gundam alone, like there is so many spin-offs and standalone series and breakaways they've done off that franchise. Like the Witch of Mercury, which is doing the rounds at the moment. I absolutely adore it. It's a bit of a return to form for Gundam for me. Like, oh man, it's so good. I really like, you know, Gundam Seed, also like Gundam 00 and a couple of the others, but there is a few big misses in that fabled franchise. But yeah, Witch of Mercury, cannot wait to start consuming season 2 of that. I started. It's very good. Yeah. There's only 2 episodes out, but it's very good. But yeah, with Gundam, there's just so much. And that's essentially all I've been doing. Like a lot of my stuff I've been watching is just catching up on all the Universal Century stuff, because it's surprisingly how much is on Netflix, how much is on Crunchyroll. So they're slowly getting out all the original Gundam stuff, so you can actually go check out the original 1979 TV show. And it's a hard watch, I'll say that. It can be a hard watch. Some of the stuff from the 70s, 80s, and even like into the early 90s, either the animation style or potentially the tone, or just some of the, I guess, the things that is... They've always been controversial, but I guess they've been more widely accepted back in those days, as far as the nudity and the sexual innuendos and the sexual exploitation of most of, like, let's be honest, female characters in anime always cop it badly. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's worth a watch, because you can sort of see the origin stories, then just transitioning to some of the current Gundam or the current reimagined other anime that they're sort of redoing. It's great to see where the technology or even just the artistic styling has gone from then to now. Yeah, it's good to see like the actual
timeline. You can see how they've evolved and the design changes and the new sensibilities and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but some of that stuff in that time period as well is just a classic that will never be able to be replicated really too, like your Akiras and stuff. Like they'll eventually probably refresh that, and we got a live action adaptation maybe coming one day with Mark Wahlberg, question mark.
I heard Leonardo DiCaprio at one point, I swear, was attached to it. Yeah. I just kind of like block that stuff out. Like Gundams, Netflix has the Gundam rights. Who knows where that's going? But we get One Piece soon. Hold on to
and from what I've seen from the on-set photos and stuff, it looks decent. It looks like it's done with a lot of love and care for the source material, but who knows? You know, we saw what they did with Cowboy Bebop, so
no, we don't talk about that.
But what we can talk about is our title in focus here on this episode of More Than Hentai. And for listeners, if this is your first time stopping on by, the way this podcast works is we're going to be doing a singular deep dive on one anime in question. We're going to be unpacking everything from that first episode from said anime, talking good, bad, and everything else in between. And our title in focus for this episode is none other than Blue Period, which is a coming-of-age drama manga series with over 4.5 million copies currently in circulation. It was written and illustrated by Tsubasa Yamaguchi, and we saw a 12-episode anime series produced by 7 Arcs, who also have done Magical Girl, and the music was done by Ippei Inoue, originally airing from October to December of 2021 on Netflix, and it is available in a sub and dub format. It currently holds a score of 7.82 on my anime list based on 183,000 users, and the story of Blue Period is as follows. Second-year high school student Yatora Yaguchi is a delinquent with excellent grades, but is unmotivated to find his true calling in life. Yatora spends his days working hard to maintain his academic standing while hanging out with his equally unambitious friends. However, beneath his carefree demeanor, Yatora does not enjoy either activity and wishes he could find something more fulfilling. While mulling over his predicament, Yatora finds himself standing at a vibrant landscape of Shibuya. Unable to express how he feels about the unusually breathtaking sight, he picks up a paintbrush, hoping his thoughts will be conveyed on canvas. After receiving praise for his work, the joys he feels sends him on a journey to enter the extremely competitive Tokyo University of the Arts, a school that only accepts 1 in every 200 applicants. Facing talented peers, a lack of understanding of the fine arts, and struggles to obtain his parents' approval, Yatora is confronted by much adversity, and in the hopes of securing one of the 5 prestigious spots in his program of choice, Yatora must show that his inexperience does not define him. So, Tom, we're talking episode 1, which is called Awakening to the Joy of Painting. What did you think about this episode? We can go whichever way you want with this, as far as good, bad, otherwise. We could go beat for beat from the main sort of story from episode 1. Take me on a journey about your time with Blue Period.
Well, the first episode, there's a lot of like dress setting, I guess, the first episode, because it starts off, it opens where the boys are all hanging out, smoking darts and drinking. And I realize that's pretty delinquent behavior for some, it's got the old anime age confusion. It's like these guys are acting like they're in their mid-20s, but they're high school students. But anyway, so maybe that's how it works. I don't know. They let minors in bars over there. But anyway, they're smoking darts, and you kind of get that haze that he's a bit of a delinquent, a bit of a slacker. And then just that first scene where like he captures the morning of Shibuya, like that's where I was like, ooh, this is where it starts to get interesting. And obviously the episode plays out, and I was kind of hooked after the first episode, it just took me away. I ended up actually watching like all of it, and I apologize. It just took me away because it's just I really enjoyed the way they sort of like when he floats out into the blue and how he sort of interprets the scene. Like that, and the way they sort of just settle on, and they just kind of focus, and they're just still on a couple of frames throughout the episode. I just really appreciated that, just at an artistic level, I guess. But yeah, it really, I like the slice of life, so it didn't hurt that I was going into the slice of life, and it also, I'm actually another little secret. I was an art student, so this just took me back. And the crunches and the pressures and of art school, I guess. And it took a little bit. The first episode was a little bit confronting as well in some aspects with Yakitori's behavior. Like it kind of like that. There's a one altercation in the middle of the episode but we can get into that. So it's yeah. How did you feel? Here's me rambling.
I really enjoyed it too. Like, I've watched the entirety of the anime front to back. I watched all 12 episodes, maybe middle of last year. So I've done a refresh over the last week or so, and I watched the first 3 episodes again. And I never went to art school, but I've always been big into creative arts and always studied art through high school. Even when electives came, I did visual arts and things. So there is some similar beats, like you mentioned, where I can sort of put myself into Yatora's shoes a little bit and understand these pressures and the creative process and the crunch and the hitting of the walls. But like you mentioned as well, I really like that sort of dream state where he goes into, I guess, ultimate creative process mode, and he becomes part of the painting and he sees the colors and he's floating and becoming part of the canvas. I really like that. And even though, I've never experienced something like that physically, it feels like when you do have those creative breakthroughs where you become part of the art, whether it be a podcast we're making, a mini we're painting, whatever it is, whatever the creative process is, when you start to become and feel your heartbeat as part of this overall practice, I know what that feels like. And I'd say you would too, being a creative minded person, like where it becomes one and the same or an extension of yourself. So it was kind of nice to be able to relate and understand where this anime could potentially be going, and the realism. Like, I love slice of life anime as well, and a sucker for anything in that sort of subgenre, but especially when it leans into the creative process, it hooked me from the get-go. Like, I was such a big fan, and I liked the characters, the assortment, like, and there was some similarities. Like, I wasn't like fourth in the class at school all the time, like Yatora was, where he's clearly working hard. I did reasonably well at school, but I was a delinquent as well, I guess you could say. So there was some loose, similar footprints I was following here from this anime and my upbringing. So I felt very seen in a way as I watched this, where I'm like, is this sort of loosely based around me, but not? So it was nice to really have that personal attachment to the anime.
Yeah, especially like this was a very easy anime to put yourself in the person's shoes, where, like sometimes slice of life, it's always easy to do that, but especially this one, I guess, being a creative, and like you said, that whole dream, like when you're there, when you're in the zone. And it's funny, when I'm streaming sometimes, like an hour goes past and I'm just like, whoa, was I painting for an hour, like nonstop? It's just wild when you get into that, and I totally understand where, like, that feeling of going through and seeing the piece sort of in your mind and trying to get it onto the page. Yeah, it blew me away. And just how it likes to sit and be still. Like with a lot of anime, it's all like bombastic and, over the top. But this is very, even for a slice of life, I found was very still. A lot of quiet moments, which I quite liked. A lot of
quiet moments with some great vocal deliveries or great lines, especially the art teacher. She's a wise woman. She was dropping so many little nuggets of truth that you just hear, or at least I do. Like, obviously some of the things in these anime don't resonate with everybody, but like one of the lines where she's like, art is a language without words. Like, you hear that line, you're like, that's some deep shit. And I feel that in my bones. Like, it's a universal medium that everyone can interpret differently, but also potentially similarly, regardless of what dialogue you speak. And there's just lines like that in this anime where I'm just like, man, this gets me. It's just a good time, but it's also very emotional, the anime. Like, it is encompassing. It's not romanticizing the stress of crunch and the creative process. The anime itself, it's all about passion. It's about identity. And I guess also emphasizing the differences between hard work and talent. That's a big thing that they try and double down on right in that first episode, where you see Yatora meet one of the other people in his class, and he's sort of like, "You're so talented," and she sort of goes, "No, don't confuse that with the hard work. I just work harder than everybody else. I take more time with painting to get to this level." So it puts a lot of things in perspective, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that was a good reflection of himself, because he just puts hard work in to get results, and because he doesn't get, like, he gets just that, doesn't know how to take a compliment in a way, especially when he's just studying for studying's sake, because that's what you do. And the first time, like, when he's puts up his piece at the end, and he's hanging out with the boys, and the boys get it and they understand, and that moment where he's just like, he gets it, and that's the sort of realness of this anime, I guess. It's pretty real. There's a lot of good issues, and it brings a lot of attention to things. I quite like this anime.
I completely agree with you there. Like it's funny because like right in those opening moments where him and his boys are out on the beers watching soccer and pulling all-nighters in some random bar watching a soccer game, and as he's going, there's a poster for a Picasso exhibition, and just the overconfidence and the youthful exuberance that Yatora has. He's like, I could do better if I tried. That. You know, Picasso ain't nothing special. Pff, whatever, mate. Like I could piss this in. And so it kind of makes me chuckle because Blue Period as well is a direct reference to Picasso, because that was what, you know, his period was known as in like, I think 1900 to 1904, where he was doing a lot of monochromatic paintings, but predominantly using blues and greens. It was a pretty, dark, depressive patch of Picasso's life. So I like that they've sort of got this Picasso connective thread throughout the entirety of the 12 episodes as well.
Yeah. It's a lot. I've got to focus on the first episode because there's a lot I could dribble on about this show, but yeah, the first episode especially, it's got some good hooks, and so I'm trying to think, like, what was your, like, I guess in the first episode, how did you feel when he first like sort of stumbles in on the club to get his ciggies?
Yeah, I like that moment, and it's funny because that establishes the rivalry between Yatora and Ryuji really quickly as well, where she's this art student, you know, she's a gorgeous girl, and he's like, oh, you could just, you know, why you waste your time with this? You could just be a model, and you can tell how much she cares about this medium. So there's a rivalry, but also a bit of a respect and admiration between the two of them, sort of unspoken in this episode, definitely, where they know they're both working hard and they're both very talented. But there is a little bit of jostling and headbutting established pretty early. And they're great sort of foils for one another in not only this first episode with the interactions they have, because she's the first person to validate his painting that he did anyway, where she's like, oh, this is nice. I like this. And then she sees it's done by Yatora and she's like, oh, I wish I never saw this. You know, I regret everything I just said. And so it's kind of cool that there is this rivalry and, you know, respect, but also a bit of annoyance towards one another as well, I guess, because they are talented individuals. So that was, I think, my biggest takeaway from that first interaction with the art club.
Yeah, and it like really, he tries to put on that front that he is this asshole sort of delinquent character. And it's funny how like through the show, how you get to know these characters and you really get to see how they tick and how they sort of act and behind this facade, these personas that we create in high school. So yeah, it's so interesting. There's so many little nuances. That's why I like slice of life. We can really get into the weeds, and it makes the everyday, the mundane, sort of like, you know, puts the importance back onto that. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Life isn't always the big moments and the spotlights and everything. It's a lot of those smaller, and I'm not going to say nothing moments, but like those smaller, maybe insignificant moments for you at the time that become part of that bigger picture, you know, all those little brushstrokes, if we're going to go with an art metaphor here, you know, frame and create that total canvas. So yeah, this anime does it really well. And I think with Ryuji as well, what she did really well was she could see straight through Yatora. She's like, you know, you're only smoking socially to try and act cool. Like she sees through all this bullshit and this tough guy act as he's waffling on about, oh, why would you be an art student? There's no money in art. You should do this and that instead. And she's just like, I call bullshit on you, fella. I see right through you. And I guess she sees him for what he is. And he doesn't really know what he is either at the time because he's still finding himself.
Yeah, exactly. He's searching for his identity as well because he doesn't know. They're coming up to the end of high school, and that's so much pressure because you don't know what's going to happen, you know. And he's like, art school. I mean, I guess I'm okay. And you know, it's just an interesting little journey, and we've all been there. And so that's what just makes it so relatable. This one in particular, I find.
Yeah, I agree. And the art teacher again dropping another truth that not only resonated with me but with Yatora as well, where she goes to him, she goes, instead of thinking about what the world values, instead explore what has value for you. And you're just like, oh, yes, like more people could take that sort of meaning or that statement and incorporate that into their way of life, because we get so caught up on social media and follower counts and view counts and listen counts and all that. It's like, you know, park all that aside and really work out what you hold valuable as opposed to what the rest of society does.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, and I found it quite inspiring as a show, like that would reflect back in my own creative process. Like that's it. You just do it, and it doesn't really matter if you're doing it for anyone. Do it for yourself. I mean, do what's important for you at the end of the day, and that was a really strong message that I found, through this anime.
Yeah, and the good thing too is like it does have these really raw, honest, heartfelt moments, but then it does mix in some humor. Like you're meeting and familiarizing yourself with his delinquent crew, and when they're first taking art for that first time, and he's like, I'm gonna paint some titties, and then the art teacher comes along and is sort of giving them feedback about, are you going to quote like big voluptuous breasts, or are they going to bounce this way, or how are they going to look? So she's getting in on it too, like so they have these very teenage boy based moments, which I think, as two men that were teenage boys once upon a time can completely relate to, or even relate to this day, because we're still
we're still boys at heart.
Track of mind. But there is those moments, so it's not all just constant like philosophical soul searchy stuff. They do break it up with more relatable day to day, and the jokes, and just some more casual banter, which is appreciated.
Absolutely. Hey, how'd you find the music and the sounds? Because I found the sound was really it really helped resonate and set the scenes. Yeah,
like it felt like it was subdued, but not in a way where it didn't add weight or add more context to the scenes. Like I never found myself like focusing in on the background music track and go, damn, this is a banger or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It added so much more impact to some of those big moments, especially those in the zone creative dreamlike sequences and stuff, and just this real like light-hearted whimsical sort of music that accompanied that. I'm like, this is very ethereal and
that's
dreamlike,
the right word.
And I'm all about it.
Yeah, it was so good. Bookended by the intro and the outro. I'm not huge into the sort of intro outro scenes as they would be, but I mean I found these ones all right.
Yeah, they're pretty easy. Like, and it's a bit of a toe tapper. Like, I can appreciate a good anime intro or outro. Like the intro video that accompanies the track doesn't change throughout the 12 episodes, from what I can remember. I think it stays
as far as I know, it stays the same two songs.
Yeah,
I prefer the outro no tells.
In the end. Yeah, me too. But nice little banger. Sets the mood off right as you're with Yatora and his journey into the art space, and him realizing that this is his passion and this is what he wants to do. So it's kind of cool to see him and be right there beside him, as far as I'm assuming they're 16 or so, 17 maybe at this age.
Yeah, I get the vague they're in year 10, so 16, 17. Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to be right beside him as he's starting to discover who he is and find himself and go, you know what, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be. And seeing the resistance and the concern with his parents, like they sort of say in this first episode, we don't have a lot of money, we can't take you, like we can't get you to a private college. And that's why it really drills down to he can only go to Tokyo Gaidai, which is the University of Arts, which is a more reasonably priced college. But as I mentioned in the lead-in, they pretty much only bring in 5 new students every year. So it's it's extremely competitive and sets the stakes really high right from the get-go.
Yeah, and I mean, as the show progresses, it focuses on him trying to get into university, and it's funny, so many parallels again, just to the real world to relate off my own life. So going on that journey myself, actually, like trying to get into art school and doing that little crash course to build your portfolio and your work to get in, into the thing. We didn't have to set tests though. All we had to do was rock up with a folio of work.
Which still wouldn't have been any less stressful. Like know what to put in that folio as far as what's the best foot you put forward.
Yeah.
Like I remember doing my major work in year 10 and year 11 where you had to submit your portfolio with your major work, and just the stress in that whole creative process was intense, because like as we know, and a lot of people listening as well, like the creative process is not linear. You might go days without having a potential spark of creative oomph to get back in and start painting, drawing, writing, whatever it is. And then other times you might be doing it for 5 days straight, and then it just wanes and you've got to take a break. Like it's not a minute by minute type of process, that's for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of creative process, like how the anime itself actually takes the time to show his creative process, like especially when in the first episode he paints that blue and he's all like, okay, I'm just gonna mess around, and they're kind of actually slowly teaching you a little bit of color theory and stuff, which I quite like. What I love about anime is like, the shows can actually, especially the slice of life stuff and the stuff based on real, they sort of teach you the game as you go along. And it was just nice to see, like, I was like, oh, if I try mixing it with the green and then layer it, I'll get different tones of the blue, and I can go back and draw. And as he's making discoveries, he's in his own talent and his own skills, which, leads his own creative process. It was just, I just really loved how the anime sort of handled that. And then all the other characters, because they sort of like dabble on their, as it opens up, on their creative processes.
Yeah, it's really educational. Like it's not only informative and entertaining and emotional, but yeah, that educational piece, like you mentioned, when you can take something away to potentially utilize in real life from anything that you consume is always a win. I think whether it be watching a film, anime, listening to music, whatever it is, if you can then try and incorporate those learnings into your life or try and do it yourself, I think it's really cool. And I'm rubbish with paint. I am so bad with paint. I'm passable with watercolor, but like acrylics and stuff, forget about it. I've always been like pen, pencil, charcoal type of guy. So I watch this and I do get envious of the art students a little bit, the way that they can translate their thoughts and feelings onto a canvas, but also the way that the anime is animated. And it looks like genuine, like paint, like you're seeing the brushstrokes happen and the way you can see the texturing on the canvases they're painting onto. It's not just like a smooth plane with an image slapped on top of it. Like it looks like a genuine painted art canvas. So that's a big testament to Seven Arcs, who is the production company behind Blue Period, because I thought it was gorgeous in that capacity.
Yeah, so they're not like, especially they're not like a huge production company that we normally know about as well. I mean, they've been around for years, starting with Trinity 7 and all this sort of stuff. But, they're not one of the big names. And it's really good just to appreciate just the studio themselves. And just like you said, it's the time that they spend on the canvas, not to make it look just like a picture. And the sculptures and just the attention to detail that they actually take with the mediums and all the equipment and the artistic stuff that they do in the show.
Yeah, they respect that sort of art creation. Obviously, they're artists themselves.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The love and care and attention to detail and the respect that they show in just minor frames where it might be just a frame held up on one of these paintings for a few seconds. Like you can only imagine the amount of hours that went into that from an artist at the studio that put that together, and you can really see that love and care come through in a lot of the scenes and a lot of the frames on Blue Period. Like it is stunning. Yeah,
it's a stunning anime, and like again with those ethereal dreamlike sequences when he's sort of like contextualizing his work in his brain, I guess. Again, yeah, just they were so well animated, and again, I just love the quietness and the stillness of it, and it doesn't have that like we're recycling frames feel either. It's very just still, and it still breathes, it still feels alive, I guess is a way to put it.
That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah, it is a very living anime. Like every scene and every new episode or new character introduction or new location, it's not recycled. They haven't just uplifted something and added a Malibu Stacy new hat-esque type of thing to it. Like it's all fresh and painstakingly done to a high level of detail. So yeah, I love it. Did you watch the sub or the dub? Like as an anime fan with long-standing reputation in the space, do you typically lean sub to be like, do you want to say you're more traditional or whatever, or are you a dub guy? You don't care, depending on the time, depending on what you're doing. What do you do?
All right, so what I basically say is it's whatever I press play and whatever it turns up as. So if I'm watching it, I'm watching Blade of the Immortal right now. I'm watching it subtitled with original voice actors. And yeah, Blue Period I watched dubbed because I pressed play on Netflix. Let's go. It was delivered in English, but I'm one of those crazy people that have subtitles on everything because the audio mixing sometimes is so out of place in some shows. So yeah, it plays to have, I just put the subtitles on. I'm just one of those crazy people. So watching it dubbed and seeing it actually subtitled, there's a few nuances difference with the deliveries of the lines, but it's pretty spot on. But yeah, again, I really liked all the voice actors. There wasn't as many usual suspects as we've been, especially with the way the anime is nowadays, with them pumping it out. I watched it dubbed. I liked it. The deliveries were all good. I'm not about to. It's not a hill I'm going to die on. That's for sure. Subbed or dubbed, I don't really care. Whatever I press play. Though I got to say, I got to watch Dragon Ball dubbed.
Yep.
And generally, I'll watch it whatever is how I started it. So like Naruto, for example, I watch that all subtitled. No offense to the dubs, I just can't do it. I'm so used to the Japanese voices with the subtitles that I just can't. The dubs, I'm like, ooh, what's going on here? This is a bit weird. But yeah, anime to anime, and I will say it is easier to watch dubbed when I'm like doing something else, or if I'm at a busy area, or at work on my iPad watching it. Like it's a bit easier with all the noise going around to watch it. But yeah, again, whatever, just press play. That's how I see it.
That's the perfect way to describe it. Just press play and just watch it however you're most comfortable. Like I try and I typically watch dub most of the time because I'm usually doing other things, so it's nice that I don't have to give it 110% of my attention all the time. But I do find myself sometimes playing the sub track at the same time, but then I get distracted and just stare in or zone in on the sub track and not be able to do the other things I'm trying to do. So I sort of damned if I do, damned if I don't really when it comes to any form of sub-bass track. So I've started taking them out more and more. But if it's an anime that engrosses me, I'm all in anyway. But if it's something where it's Isekai is a great one because most of the time it is just lighthearted, whimsical nothingness. I can tinker on my phone or fluff about over there at the same time and not lose any major narrative beats. But no, I was giving Blue Period my full attention. The vocal work from the English cast is well done. Like you said, it's a different cast that's handling that than the usual suspects as far as maybe the 24 or maybe a dozen or so primary English-speaking voice actors we seem to churn through in the anime space. But everyone that's represented in this first season is voiced really well. There's no cringy over the topness. They're all very realized characters. They're all grounded. They're all relatable. There's no caricatures or parodies going on here with any of the characters you meet in episode 1 and future episodes. So yeah, you can't go wrong whether you want to do the sub or the dub track.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, yeah. So like I said, it's not a hill I'm going to die on. Whatever. Just appreciate it and enjoy anime and at the show as it is.
Here. So on that same sort of statement, let's flip that. So let's talk about maybe anything that you didn't appreciate in Blue Period episode 1. Is there anything that you didn't enjoy, or did you have an overall pretty positive experience, or is there anything that sort of ground your gears, so to speak?
The only thing that probably ground my gears was either Yakitori he was a bit of an asshole to begin with, with some of his interactions with other characters. But, I think it's like we said, it's just this facade that he's putting up, and you get to finally see that sort of breakdown as the show progresses. But, I was like, it was a little bit, and then I was like, he's a bit of an asshole. Am I going to like this guy? But then, by the end of the episode, you sort of connect a bit more with him to understand. That's about the only thing that really grinded my gears at all, was like, but you kind of needed that for him to understand his point of view and his character, and to see where he's sort of coming from. And he's just a dumbass 17-year-old boy, like we've all been. But it's also confronting to know, like, you've been that asshole in some degrees. Not like this exact same situation, but we've all been dumb idiots and said the wrong, insensitive things and that sort of stuff in our youth.
Exactly. Like, it is a big period of growing up, not only for the characters in the anime, but yeah, all of us really. We're still trying to learn who we are and our likes and dislikes and where we fit into life at that stage. So yeah, it's relatable, and the way the anime ends, or at least episode 1 ends, I should say, is Yatora mentions, he says, it felt like my heart is starting to beat again. Like as he's fallen into this artistic and creative process, and he's sort of found, I guess, his place, and he's found his meaning or his direction in life. And it's a really touching moment to end the episode on, because yeah, like you mentioned, we meet him and he's this cool badass from without a cause that's
he's
also
trying
very
so
smart
hard.
and, the best at everything. Like, he just eases effortlessness. But then behind the scenes, you see how goddamn hard he works all the time to have this fake front of being effortless and cool and all that. So you're seeing those layers get stripped back the more that brush hits the canvas. And then, he has this real human moment, like you mentioned earlier, where his friends realize what the painting was and he cries because he's starting to sort of have a connection with not only, I guess, his front he puts up and who he actually is, and they're meeting, I guess, somewhere in between in that moment. And then, that line where it rolls to credits where, feels like my heart is starting to beat again. That's a really simple line, but really powerful and impactful line, I think, to end that first episode on as a big hook. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, that's what
hit
totally
me in the feels. I want more of this.
Yes, exactly right. It totally drew me in because, again, like the whole journey that you sort of go through with him, by the end, he's like, I'm finally, my heart's beating again. You're like, let's go, man. Let's go. Let's go on this adventure. As simple as it is, art adventure, the creative process. But, it's still an adventure.
It's a great adventure. And after like my first time viewing this, like that ending, I'm like, I'll run through a wall for you, bro. Like, I'm with you. You need art supplies. I'll go straight to the shops. I'll get them right now. We're going to get you to college. We're going to do this together. I'm your biggest cheerleader now. Let's get it. So I was super hyped. So we buried the lead a little bit at the beginning there as far as, will you continue to watch? We've confirmed that yes, you will. And yes, you've watched the entirety of the 12 episodes. You consumed all of Blue Period, but we'll quickly jump onto the last word presented by our friends over at Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops courtesy of japancrate.com. So Tom, let's get your last word on Blue Period. Tell the audience what your final thoughts were on this fantastic little slice of life anime known as Blue Period.
Well, Blue Period, it's such a great show, all right? And you know what I'm going to say? It's easily to watch. It's on Netflix. So it's not even hard. There's no like gatekeeping. Everyone's got Netflix at this point. So check it out, especially if you're not sure about anime and you think it's all, exactly what this show is about. This anime is one of those shows. It's more than hentai. It's actually going on a creative journey with these characters. It's just, and it hit, being a creative type like yourself, it really resonated with me. And like being a former art student, like it's spot on, like the journey that they go through and the class, and we've all had the teachers like that. And it was just, I really, really liked it.
Me too. It is great, and it is very underrated, and it, like, obviously 170,000 odd people have reviewed it on My Anime List, which is, I guess you could say, the communal anime Bible when it comes to community-based voting and getting a real temperature check on if an anime is good or bad. And, it scores very well, but a lot of people in my broader circle don't ever mention Blue Period as a slice of life anime that's worth checking out. So hopefully people listening to this do give it a look, because it is really great and it's real, it's relatable, it's raw, and it's just a really intimate story about that creative process. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly right. It is intimate and it takes you, and you're on a journey. That's what I can say. Just watching the characters, grow and find their identities. It is a little touching story, and we've all been there, so it's very relatable.
Exactly. So check it out. Available on Netflix, as Tom mentioned. So you've got no excuses to watch it, because
none.
Who doesn't have a Netflix account? And if you don't, message me and I'll share my details and you can check it out on my behalf, because it's fantastic. But man, that brings us to the end of another episode of More Than Hentai. Tom, the floor is yours now to share your, I guess, upcoming content that you wanted to mention and promote, any other places where listeners can find you, and just anything else you want to say. The floor is yours to spruik your wares as much or as little as you'd like.
Well, thank you. Well, firstly, thanks for letting me come onto the show. This was a huge opportunity. I just love to talk about anime, so this was a great opportunity. Anyway, but the socials. Just follow me on at the Wraith WA on all the social medias. You can even follow me on PlayStation. I'm a bit of a trophy hunter myself. Otherwise, twitch.tv, the Wraith WA is where I do all my streaming content. Like we said, painting miniatures, building Gundams, waxing poetically about anime. Normally, it's a rant, depending what I've been watching. And yeah, just check out my socials. I'm all about it. On Instagram, doing work in progress, but at the Wraith WA on everything. I got all my ducks in a line all those years ago and got my handle sorted. That's my one tip.
and I love that's a great tip, because there is nothing worse than if you've got a great idea or you're breaking into social media for the first time, and then it's like, okay, so over here it's got an underscore, over there it's got a space. You just, if you can get consistency on all your handles, the easier it's going to be for everybody to find you. So hat tip to you for getting in early in the Wraith WA.
All those years ago
everywhere.
with wrestling. That's it. That's it. Just had to get the moniker out there.
It's a fantastic pastime. On the wrestling front, have you got any like footage on your socials? Like
No.
maybe it might be legacy posts.
There is legacy posts. I have an unlisted match. Otherwise, all the stuff that the wrestling promotion that I was attached to, I went through a rebranding and I got rid of a lot of the old archive footage. I've got some stuff hidden away on a hard drive somewhere, but I've got to dust it off and actually do it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was literally like to about a year ago. It all got archived and gone, but it's not really gone. I'm sure it's around there somewhere. But no, there's not much wrestling footage of me, unfortunately.
You just got to look especially hard, listeners.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of photos of me on. If you want to scroll all the way back on Instagram and the Facebook pages, they're there. If you just, it's archived. It's old.
I'm going to scroll on the Instagram. I don't really touch Facebook, but I'm going to scroll that Instagram page. I'm going to see you in your Wraith attire with that sort of crucifix, white paint, and everything. I want in. I want to live
it's out
this
there.
life.
It's out there. You just got to dig a little.
Yeah, and listeners, once you're done digging, be sure to rate, review, subscribe this podcast, as well as all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular. Those ratings and reviews help keep those emotional lights on in all our hearts. It takes no time, costs you no money, means the world to us. So just pay it forward where you can. If you wanted to throw some money into our pocket, you can do so over at our official merch store, shop8bit.net, to get the best geek culture-based merchandise in the universe. Cannot confirm nor deny that is a true statement, but shop8bit.net is the place to check it out. But yeah, Tom, thank you so much for stopping on by. It's been an absolute pleasure riffing here with you on Blue Period. I think the resounding final statement on Blue Period is check it out, do yourselves a favor, and get it into your eyeballs as soon as you can.
That's it. It's a good weekend binge. It's only 12 episodes.
Yes, 12
you
episodes.
You can smash it real quick.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy to smash through. But listeners, whether your anime be sub, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all the gorgeous waifus out there. Goodbye.